Avid readers, it's Miss Thompson here. I'm here to talk to you about how you can really ramp up your reading playdates. Now I know you guys had learned how to play pretend as you're reading. Well, one thing that you have to do is you have to look really closely at your book. It's called a close read of your book because you want to find out exactly what the author is trying to tell you throughout the story. And you are also going to do book-based pretending. Well, what does that mean, Miss Thompson? That means that you are going to look at specific parts of your book and see exactly how the character would feel, act, and what they might say. Okay, so let's look back at Not Norman. Remember, we learned how the boy got a goldfish for his birthday, but he was not happy about it. So we're going to learn how to add our very own speech bubbles. This is when a person is talking and they are speaking. And then we're also going to learn how to add a thought bubble. Now these are things that may not be in the book, but when we take a close read at the book, we can add our very own thoughts and speeches to it. So let's look at the very first page here. When the boy gets Norman as a present. Now, if you look right here, you notice that he is feeling very sad, but it doesn't say that. It just says, when I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of fish. Not Norman. You know what? If I added a thought bubble right here, he might be thinking, ugh, this fish looks boring. I wish I had a dog. Or he might say something to his parents like, I don't want this fish. So when you're reading a book, I want you to think about things like that. Now let's look at this next page here. So if we look closely at the picture and we read what the author is telling, it says, the next day I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. But then what happens? The dog starts drinking out of poor Norman's bowl. Now he's not saying anything to the dogs right now, but I think if I put a speech bubble right up here, he might be yelling, stop! Don't take the water out of Norman's bowl. You know what? I think Norman would even say something. Norman could even say, help! They're drinking all my water! Now we can look closely at another page here. And if you see, he looks really happy right here. And I think that this is the part where the boy says, does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? And remember, nobody's paying attention to him at show and tell. I think the boy might be thinking, you know what, Norman? You're not so bad after all. Because Norman actually listened to him during the story. So whenever you're reading, you can add your thoughts into what the story is telling you. Another thing that you can do when you're playing pretend is you can actually act like the character. So I want us to try that really quickly. Are you guys ready? Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture and I'm going to read part of it to you. And I want to see if you can act it out. Okay. I'm sorry, I gotta find that right page. I glance over at Norman and he was swaying back and forth. Glug, 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 glug. He mouths, look, Norman's singing, I say. So what do you think the boy would be doing right now? He's probably pointing like, look, Norman's singing. Can you do that? Look, Norman's singing. Good job. Another part is when he starts taking Norman to school. How do you think he would carry Norman? You think he would carry him like this? No, because he's in a bowl, right? So carry Norman. Good job. So what I want you to remember about playing pretend is you can act it out, use gestures, and read with feelings. But you can also add your very own speech bubbles and your very own goggles as you're reading because you want to look very closely and understand what the author wants you to learn from the book. All right, have fun, guys.